I'm so happy to have you here. You look good. I just wanted to firstly thank you guys for being on this ride with me. It has been so fun. So without further ado, let's get into chapter 24 of Heated Rivalry by Reid. Chapter 24. The following evening, Ilya leaned against the rail of the deck and watched Shane flip burgers on the barbecue. Shane seemed very excited about the burgers. He had followed a recipe online. Ilya took a sip of his beer. Why the f*** are you making 8 burgers? He asked. That's how many the recipe was for. You can't do math. Cut it in half. Leave me alone. Instead, Ilya stood directly behind Shane and draped an arm across his chest. He kissed him behind the ear. No, he murmured. Shane tipped his head back, and Ilya could see the color that had flooded to his cheeks. It was exhilarating to be outdoors like this and to be able to touch each other the way they wanted to. Christ, he hadn't even been here for 2 days yet, and already he had no idea how he was going to be able to go back to the real world. I would bring some of the burgers over to my parents' cottage, but that would ruin the whole I can't be disturbed, I'm meditating lie, I told them. Ilya kissed his neck. Have you ever lied to your parents before? Shane shuddered. Probably. I mean, I must have, but not often, no. You'll love your parents. You are a good son. I try to be. They don't know how bad you can be. Stop it. What is your mother's name? Shane pulled away and turned to face him. What are you doing? Wild questions. He was frowning, as if he suspected Ilya was making fun of him. What? I want to know about your family. All I know is your mother is Japanese or something. Probably where you get your looks. Half of them, yes. And your dad is boring. Is that where you get your boring from? Shane shook his head, but he was smiling a bit. My dad is not boring. He is exciting. He's normal. He works for the Treasury Board of Canada. Super exciting. He played hockey for McGill. Wow. Is McGill a town? Oh, what the f*** is McGill? It's a school. A university in Montreal. A very famous one. Ilya shrugged and took a sip of his beer. My parents are awesome, Shane said, turning his attention back to the grill. Seriously, they're the best. Maybe I will beat them someday. Shane froze. Ilya saw the tension grip his back and shoulders. Relax, Ilya said. Was a joke. I know I won't. I'd like you to, Shane said quietly. I mean, I wish you could. You know, if things were different. Ilya reached out and tapped Shane's elbow. Shane turned to face him. Do they know? About you? No, Ilya said. About you. Shane looked down and shook his head. No. They would not be good if you told them. I don't know. You said they are the best. Shane looked up. They are. I mean, I think they would be fine with it. I know they would be. Really. They love me. They've always supported me. They aren't homophobic at all. I don't think. It's just not something we've ever really talked about. Maybe you should. Shane turned and picked up a plate that he started piling burger patties on. Sometimes I think I would have told them by now if it wasn't for Ilya raised an eyebrow that Shane couldn't see. This is my fault. No, yes, sort of. I just think if I had a normal dating life or whatever, I mean, still dating men, but not doing whatever we're doing with, you. You don't want to tell your parents that you are f***ing Ilya Rosanov. Shane sputtered out a laugh. No, I definitely do not want to have to explain that to them. Why would you though? What do you mean? You can tell your parents that you are gay, I think, without telling them the names of men you are f***ing. I am pretty sure about this. I know, but Shane sighed. Forget it. It doesn't matter. Let's eat these burgers before they get cold. Ilya wanted to push him to say more, but instead he just followed Shane to the table. The truth was that Shane thought about Ilya meeting his parents a lot. He was kind of obsessed with the idea. He couldn't even form a clear thought about why it was so important to him. For one thing, it was an absurd, terrible idea, and there was absolutely no reason why he should want it to happen. He had even imagined benign scenarios where they are at a function, maybe the NHL awards, and Shane just casually says, Mom, Dad, have you met Ilya Rosanov? And they would shake his hand, and Ilya would nod politely at them and tell them it was nice to meet them. And then it would be over, and his parents would shake the hand of the next person who approached them, and they would have no idea how much of a relief it would be for Shane to have just witnessed that simple contact. To know that the two people he loved the most had touched the skin of Ilya Rosanov and had looked into his eyes, even for a second, and that Shane now had concrete proof that all 3 of them existed in the same world. These were the thoughts that kept Shane awake at night. Total and complete madness. His deepest, most closely guarded desire was to just have his parents make contact with the man he'd been secretly f***ing for 7 years. Part of him felt that, if it happened, something would become clear. Something would finally make sense. The real, actual truth, the truth that Shane mentally stomped on every time it dared try to get his attention, was that he wanted Ilya to meet his parents for the same reason anyone wanted their boyfriend to meet their parents. swell of Ilya's bicep because he couldn't help it. The morning light was making everything beautiful. Shane was in love, so he had leaned in and lightly kissed Ilya's wrist. When Ilya's eyes had fluttered open, Shane's face had been inches away from him. He had seen the initial confusion in Ilya's expression before it softened into a shy smile. It had been a perfect morning, a perfect day, really. They had worked out very competitively in Shane's gym, then lounged by the pool, and eventually headed down to the boathouse. Shane had suggested they take the kayaks out, but that got dropped as soon as Ilya spotted the jet skis. The rest of the afternoon had been spent racing around the lake, laughing and soaking each other. Ilya was never happier than when he was in control of a high-speed vehicle, although he had been pretty happy later on when Shane had pinned him to the wall inside the boathouse and they'd stripped off their bathing suits. It had been a really good day, and now they were eating burgers that Shane had totally aced and drinking beer on the deck as the sun set, and it was everything he had ever wanted. He imagined a life of spending summers together at the cottage. It was his intention to make this his permanent home after he retired. He wondered if Ilya would be into living here when, what the hell, Hollander, getting a little ahead of yourself, aren't you? But these were the thoughts that consumed him these days. Ilya meeting his parents, Ilya spending the summers with him, Ilya making a home with him. He'd give anything to go back to the simplicity of the early days, when all that consumed him was the confusing desire to have his Ilya's. For 7 years, they'd been getting away with this thing. Their luck had to run out sometime, right? Ilya stared at the fire because he wasn't sure what else he was supposed to do exactly. This seemed to be the extent of the entertainment a bonfire provided. It burned, and he looked at it. The bonfire had been Shane's idea, of course. Ilya couldn't think of better things to do with their evening alone together than watch logs turn to ash, but Shane had been so damn excited about it. But it was a beautiful night. The air was a bit chilly, and the fire was warm, and Ilya was pressed against Shane on a little bench made out of a trunk of tree. It wasn't terrible. How was your head? Ilya asked. Shane had complained of a headache that afternoon. He'd said they had been common since his injury. Oh, better now, thanks. That was good news, because Ilya very much wanted to do sex stuff later. Shane's phone suddenly lit up, the screen startlingly bright in the dark that surrounded them. When Shane glanced at the screen, his face lit up almost as brightly. What the? Ilya asked. He couldn't help it. Oh, Shane said absently as he typed something. Nothing, just a message from Rose. Ilya snorted. Rose? What does Rose want? She's just checking in. Hey, you're not jealous, are you? No. It was the least convincing lie ever. Ilya, I'm gay. Not too gay to cross Landry. Shane put the phone down and glared at him. Oh my god. I only slept with her a couple of times, and they were both disasters. Believe me, she is not looking for a repeat performance. Ilya suppressed a grin. Disasters. I'm not giving you the details, so shut it. Shane grumbled. He poked at the fire for the 100th time. Ilya wasn't sure it actually did anything useful, but Shane seemed to enjoy doing it. There was something a little creepy about sitting in the small pool of light in the middle of total darkness. It was so eerily quiet, just the crackling of the fire, the occasional lap of the water from the lake, and a fucking wolf. That was a fucking wolf. What the f was that? Ilya said. He couldn't conceal the terror in his voice, but who the f cared because they were surrounded by hungry wolves. Shane laughed. It's a loon. A what? A loon? Shane was really laughing now. It's a bird, like a duck, kind of. Oh my god, you thought it was a wolf. What the f bird makes a noise like that? A loon, Shane said again. Then he doubled over in hysterics. Ilya wanted to push him into the fire. F you and your loon, Ilya said. Stupid Canadian wolf bird. Shane looked up at him, still laughing. His whole face was crinkled up. Eyes, nose, freckles. Ilya wanted to grab embers from the fire and smash them into his own eyes because he could not bear to look at this adorable, crinkled, happy face. Look, Shane said. He made a tunnel out of his hands, brought them to his mouth, and made the wolf bird noise. No human should be able to make that noise. You speak bird now, too? Ilya asked flatly. Shane cracked up again and shoved him. Ilya fought like hell not to, but he started laughing too. I speak fluent bird, no accent, Shane gasped. I hate you. Shane leaned against him. No, you don't. Ilya sighed. No, he didn't. He picked up his can of Coke that was resting on a chunk of tree table next to his bench and took a sip. He handed Shane his ginger ale. They sat in comfortable silence for a long time. Have you talked to your family in Russia at all? The question came out of nowhere, which meant it was something that had been on Shane's mind for a while. Also, it probably wasn't the real question that Shane wanted to ask. No, it's just my brother there now, and he sucks. Oh, right. A much less comfortable silence fell between them. I'm sorry, Shane said, for no reason at all. Why? Your family. Shane murmured in his ear. He kissed his temple. You're incredible. Ilya held his breath, and then another fucking loon screamed over their heads, and both men completely lost it. They held each other as they shook with laughter. It was a wonderful relief to laugh after all that. They sat back down, but this time, Shane tucked himself into Ilya with his legs pulled up on the bench. Ilya wrapped an arm around him and kissed the top of his head. Is there more wood for the fire? Ilya asked. Yeah, there's lots. Good. Chapter 25. What the f***? You can't pick Montreal. I just did. Ilya pointed out, gesturing his PlayStation controller at the television. Well then, I'm picking Boston. Good choice. I'm going to destroy you. I am you. You aren't anything, Shane grumbled. Ilya laughed and nudged him hard. I'm on the cover of the game. Shane shoved him against the arm of the couch. Big deal. They had barely gotten past the first puck drop when Shane's phone rang. Shane glanced at it and frowned. It's Hayden. I should get it. Ilya rolled his eyes and hit pause. Hayden. He didn't actually know Hayden Pike at all. He knew he was an average forward, extremely unremarkable in the looks department, and Shane's best friend. Shane walked a few steps behind the couch, standing between the living room and the kitchen. Hey, Hayden, how's the baby? Ilya smirked to himself. Shane had forgotten Hayden's baby's name. Amber, right? Is she good? Hayden must have had a very long answer to that question, because Shane went silent for a while. Ilya endured about 5 minutes of Shane saying nothing but, oh yeah, and that's cool, and right, before he stood up and gave Shane a look. Shane shrugged at him. What do you want me to do? Ilya had an idea. He crossed the room until he was standing right in front of Shane. He gave him a little smile, and Shane furrowed his brow at him. Ilya's gaze darted down to Shane's crotch, and then back up again. Shane shook his head, silently. So, how's Jackie doing? Shane asked the phone, tired. Ilya unfastened the button on Shane's shorts. Shane shook his head again, more forcefully this time, but he wasn't, stopping him. Ilya slowly pulled down the zipper, and was rewarded with a sharp inhale from Shane. Shane's shorts dropped to the floor, and Ilya sank to his knees. He glanced up and saw Shane mouthing, "Don't." His eyes bugged wide. Ilya pulled an exaggerated, confused face. "Don't what?" He carefully peeled Shane's briefs off, and slid them down to join his shorts on the floor. To be fair, Shane's dick was soft, so maybe he really didn't want Ilya to be doing this. Ilya sat back on his heels and glanced up at Shane's face, trying to gauge whether or not he was into this game. Shane bit his bottom lip as he gazed back at him, and Ilya knew it was game on. Just 1 second, Hayden. My mom is calling. 1 sec. He hit the mute button on his phone and snarled at Ilya. What the f***? Knock it off. I think you found it. I mean, no. It's f***ing creepy. It's hot though. Yes. Shane huffed. Later, okay. I might not want to later. Ilya, I won't touch you. If you don't get hard, I won't do anything. Deal? Shane's mouth fell open. I won't get hard. Shane said, then grimaced. Ilya put his considerable blowjob skills to work. Oh yeah, that's cool. Shane stammered into his phone. Ilya glanced up at him. Shane stared right back, cheeks flushed and eyes challenging. Ilya couldn't believe Shane hadn't hung up yet. Did he really want Ilya to make him while he was still on the phone? Ilya kept going, and Shane's voice got more and more strained. And how on earth was Hayden not noticing this? Shane's thighs trembled under Ilya's hands, the muscles in his stomach flexing, and Ilya was fascinated to see how Shane was going to handle this, because he definitely was about to. Shane pulled the phone away from his ear and frantically hit the mute button. Ah, his free hand grabbed Ilya's shoulders, fingers tightening almost painfully. Shane took a deep breath in and out once his orgasm had finished and hit the mute button once again. You there? Sorry, bad connection out here sometimes. Ilya scrambled to the couch so he could smother his laughter with a pillow. Shane must have ended the call because suddenly he was on top of Ilya on the couch, hitting him with another pillow. Fuck you, you asshole. That was the worst. Ilya pulled the pillow he was holding to his face away. It was not. God, fuck you. Why was that so hot? Because you like to be bad, Shane loved her. And whoa, saying those exact words twisted something inside of Ilya. He was just teasing Shane, but he wondered how true those words were. Was that perhaps all this was to Shane? Rebellion? Was that all he was to Shane? His worry must have shown on his face, because Shane stopped hitting him with the pillow. He pulled Ilya's hand to his mouth and kissed his palm. That's not why I do this with you. Maybe it was when we started, I don't know, but it isn't now, and it hasn't been for a long time. Ilya moved the hand Shane was holding to brush the hair out of Shane's eyes. Okay. Why do you do it now? He wanted to ask, but he was scared of the answer, so instead, he pulled Shane down for a kiss. So, Ilya said casually when they broke apart. How's Hayden? Shane collapsed against his chest, and Ilya held him as they both shook with laughter. Ilya had been formulating a plan. It was early stages, and probably bad, but he couldn't stop his brain from working on it. He couldn't see a realistic scenario where he and Shane were anything more than what they were now. He wasn't even sure what he wanted them to be, when his imagination was reckless enough to conjure images of the two of them together, as a couple, living together, married. Fuck, it was ridiculous. You alright? Ilya jerked to attention to find Shane, wearing only a bathing suit, standing in front of the Adirondack chair Ilya was sitting in. He had a book in his hand and glasses on his face, and he was frowning down at Ilya like a concerned lifeguard/librarian. Yes, Ilya said, waving a hand. It's a nice view. The lake. You looked like you were thinking about something heavy. Ilya shrugged. Shane sat himself in the chair next to him and waited. I wish I've been drafted by a Canadian team, Ilya said. What? Why? It would make things easier. Things? What? Like, do you mean? What do you mean? Ilya sighed heavily. What exactly did he want to say here? I mean, America is so not good for Russians now, and Russia is not so good for Russians like me. Shane was silent a moment. Are you in any danger? No, I don't think so, but I am very careful. I would like to not have to be. Shane nodded. I think things will get better in America, right? And maybe in Russia too. Maybe. Do you still want to become an American citizen? I don't know. I am thinking. Maybe somewhere else. Oh, I have been thinking, Ilya said. He never said any of this out loud before. He maybe hadn't even formed it all together in his head before. I'm a free agent after next season. He definitely had Shane's full attention now. You'd leave Boston. I've just been thinking, maybe a Canadian team. Holy shit, really? Yes. Like where? Ilya could see the thoughts play out on Shane's face like a movie. What if we played together in Montreal? No, Montreal couldn't afford both of us. Not Montreal, Ilya said gently. No, I know. But good God. Now Ilya was imagining that. Playing together, loving together, being together. It was never going to happen, but it was a nice thought. I could marry Svetlana, Ilya said out of nowhere. It was the following night, and they were playing pool. Shane frowned at the 3-ball that just missed the side pocket. He would have made that shot if Ilya hadn't just casually dropped his worst nightmare on him. Oh, Shane asked calmly. She's American, so it would mean American citizenship. But she will do it. Would she? I think so, yes. She's Sergei's Beltros's daughter. Did you know? What? Really? Yes, she would help me. Shane watched Ilya sink the 12 ball, and then the 14 ball. He felt like snapping his own cue over his knee. Do you? I mean, is she someone that you would want to marry? Ilya straightened his posture and looked at him. I like Svetlana, yes, but it would be for citizenship. But, Shane said, he saw him with beautiful women, wonderful women, everywhere. Sounds rough. Yes, listen. These women, they are so sexy and fun, but it's no matter. I cannot stop thinking about this short fucking hockey player with his stupid freckles and the weak backhand. The weak backhand. Shane couldn't stop smiling. Yes, and he is just so boring, and he drives a terrible car, and that is my problem. All of these beautiful women, and I am always wishing they were him. Ilya bent to take his third shot. His terrible problem. Shane was gonna start crying right here in his games room. He swallowed and steadied himself. Do you want the problem to go away? No, Ilya said seriously, looking Shane dead in the eye. I do not want the problem to ever go away. Don't marry Svetlana, Shane blurted out. Ilya raised an eyebrow. Just don't. I know it wouldn't be for love or whatever, but don't. I couldn't. We can figure something else out, okay? Ilya looked surprised, but he nodded. Okay. I was thinking, Ilya said. It was late morning the next day, and they were sitting on the deck with coffee. If I played for a team that was not Boston, maybe in the West, the rivalry would not be such a big deal. Shane seemed to consider this. That's true. We'd only play against each other twice a year. He frowned, and Ilya knew he didn't like that idea any more than he did. We'd only see each other twice a year. It's like sacrifice for future gain, yes. Shane brightened. Future gain. Yes. It wasn't how he had meant to respond. Ilya's eyes were so wide and so scared. I love you too, Shane said. Ilya gave a shaky smile and exhaled. Thank Christ. Does it feel like agony for you too? Ilya started to nod, then stopped. He shook his head slowly instead. Not anymore. Ilya felt like his smile was going to split his face. He was overwhelmingly happy. Shane was beaming up at him, eyes bright and freckles crinkled, and Ilya loved him, and Shane loved him. Holy shit. Shane Hollendar is in love with me. He wanted to kiss him, but he couldn't stop looking at him. How could we let this happen? Ilya asked, and his voice was shakier than he would have liked. I don't know. We were very stupid and irresponsible. Very dumb, yes. Oh God, Hollendar. And then he did kiss him. How could he not? Ilya got the urge to put him down, as if he would disappear if Ilya didn't keep a tight grip on him. He wrapped his fingers around Shane's wrists and held him to the pillow on either side of Shane's head. This is real, yes? Ilya asked. He just had to make sure. It's real, Shane said. His voice was low and adorably scratchy. I feel like I am dreaming. You're not. I love you. Ilya wasn't sure his heart could take any more of this. It felt like it was pushing up against his lungs, making it hard to breathe, hard to think, hard to do anything except hold Shane down and kiss him over and over again. Shane's back bowed against the mattress, and he pressed his rigid against Ilya's thigh. I want to be as close as possible to you, he said breathlessly. You are? No, I want. Tell me. I want to be in your lap. Holding you. Yes. I want that too, Ilya said. I love you. They moved quickly, Ilya sitting with his back against the headboard and Shane straddling his lap. They kissed for a long time like that. Ilya had no idea why he got so much enjoyment from causing Shane distress, but he did. He loved to see him all agitated and struggling to keep control. If you love me, Ilya added obnoxiously. Shane's eyes narrowed. I'm starting to question that. Ilya shook his head, grinning. You love me. Show me how much. As if there was even a chance that Ilya wouldn't. Shane wrapped trembling fingers around his very quickly. Shut up. Shane's whole body was shaking. I'm trying to concentrate. Ilya chuckled. Your wants you to go faster. Can't go faster, Shane gritted out. Soon. Now. Alright, enough was enough. Ilya reached for the lube and a condom from the bedside table and got himself ready. And, oh God, when Shane sank down on him, his whole body trembled beneath it. It was a feel. He rocked him in Shane's body. He felt Shane everywhere. Shane braced himself with a hand on some point, and he saw his considerable strength right the hell of his. He shoved Ilya's and pounded the perfect ass on Ilya's lap and over a puck. Shane threw his head back, and Ilya watched his cock bounce in the space between them. He wondered if Shane would shoot instantly if he touched it. He wondered if Shane would shoot anyway, without any contact on his glistening cock. And suddenly, Ilya realized that he was too. He had the endurance of a stallion with most partners, but he couldn't ever seem to control his body when he was with Shane. I love you, oh shit, here it comes. They both cried out. Shane said quietly, and Elliot was not going to cry right now. Shane, he said, I love that idea. Yeah, Shane smiled. Yes, it's very... What was the right word? Was there a right word for everything Elliot was feeling in that moment? He couldn't think of one, so instead he said, she would have loved you. I wish I could have met her. Yes, me too. Shane yawned and snuggled against Elliot's chest. Sorry, I'm exhausted. My fault, I suppose. Absolutely your fault, but I forgive you. Shane said with another yawn. Absolutely your fault, but I forgive you. Shane said with another yawn. Good night, Linda. I love you. I love you too. He sang Russian again. Elliot pulled Shane's hands to his lips and kissed his fingers. Я люблю тебя. Я люблю тебя. Shane murmured back. Elliot laughed and turned off the lamp. Chapter 26. Elliot bounced on the balls of his feet and felt a dog bob in the water beneath him. Is this the dog that you do yoga on? He asked. No, I don't do yoga on here. That was just where the camera crew asked me to. Wait, did you watch that thing? Yes, it was great. I needed help sleeping. You're an asshole. They watched in silence as a couple of ducks swam by. This was what passed as entertainment here in the middle of nowhere. It was late morning and the day was already hot. Shane, like Elliot, was wearing only shorts. They had slept late after keeping each other up most of the night. The sun shone on every inch of Shane, his skin, his hair, his freckles. He looked so achingly beautiful and happy. It was a shame that Elliot was going to ruin it. A shame, but there was no choice about it. Shane Hollander was standing on the edge of a dock, and now his back was turned to Elliot, like an idiot. How's the water? Elliot asked. What? That was all the warning Shane got before Elliot pushed him off the dock with both hands. Shane let out most of a motherfucker before his head submerged beneath the dark water. When he popped back up, he continued to splutter and swear as Elliot doubled over with laughter. You, Shane yelled, and he punctuated it with a mighty sweep of his arm that sent a wave of water at Elliot. It mostly hit Elliot's calves. Asshole, Shane yelled. Elliot ran off the end of the dock and plunged into the water in a perfect cannonball right next to Shane. As soon as his head was above the water again, he splashed Shane right in the face, just for good measure. Shane tried to punch his shoulder, but Elliot grabbed his wrist and pulled him closer. He kissed him quickly, and Shane pushed him hard in the chest. What if my phone had been in my pocket? Shane complained. It wasn't. You left it on the table, on the deck. Well, Elliot kissed him again. It was a little awkward to do when they were both treading water. Shane tasted like cool, fresh water. As if to prove that it was still perfectly safe and functioning, Shane's phone started ringing in the distance. Oh, Elliot smirked. It's fine. I don't need to answer it. No. He kissed Shane again, and this time he turned them so he had Shane's back pinned against the end of the dock. It was probably very uncomfortable for Shane, but he didn't seem to mind. They kissed enthusiastically, and Elliot planted his hands against the wood of the dock on either side of Shane's shoulders. Shane, to Elliot's surprise, wrapped his legs around Elliot's waist and pulled him tighter against him. Elliot loved these rare moments that Shane was able to get out of his head and just let go. He loved that he could make Shane do that. He loved Shane. God, he loved Shane. They met out for a while like that before Shane reached back with both hands and hoisted himself up out of the water. Elliot quickly followed him. He pressed down on Shane, kissing him and forcing him to his back. He reached to grip Shane's through his wet shorts. Someone could see, by boat, Shane panted. Then keep a lookout. Elliot plunged his hand into the waistband of Shane's shorts and was rewarded with a delicious little whimper. Shane's phone rang again. Shane tilted his head back to look in the direction of his phone. Fuck off, he yelled at it. Elliot laughed and continued stroking Shane's. He was running a bit against Shane's thigh. The dog bounced vigorously in the water beneath them. He nipped along Shane's jawline and kissed a smile. He didn't think Shane was watching for boats at all. You like this, Linda? Yes, I've wanted this for so long. Wanted what? Tell me. You, here, outside like this. Ilya sucked in a breath. What do you want me to do to you? place to clean his shorts a little bit. They swam for a little while longer before they both decided that they were hungry and headed up to the house. Shane was just about to step through the sliding glass doors when Elliot grabbed his wrist and tugged him back toward him. "Is it okay if I tell you I love you again?" Elliot asked. His crooked smile was adorably shy. Shane smiled back. Hell, he probably beamed back. "It's okay." Instead of saying the words, Elliot kissed him. It was slow and deliberate, his tongue pressing against Shane's own, his fingers resting delicately on Shane's waist. Shane felt like his legs might give out on him. He made a contented little noise and stepped in even closer, so he could feel Elliot pressed against every inch of him. His hands slid over the late gold skin on Elliot's back, eventually finding their way into his damp hair. Elliot huffed and tilted Shane's head back, kissing him deeper and more possessively. Shane felt dizzy with happiness to be held like this and kissed like this by the man he loved. The man who loved him back, here at the place he loved more than anywhere else in the world. They both heard noise. They both whipped their heads around. They both saw Shane's dad standing inside the house, staring, frozen, at where they were wrapped up in each other on the deck. For a moment, no one moved. No one made a sound. Everyone just stared. Then, very quickly, Shane's dad turned on his heel and walked toward the front door of the house. Shane let go of Elliot and said, "Shit. Your father." "Yes." "Yes. Shit. Okay." Shane held his head with both hands. "Should you?" "Yeah. Okay. You wait here." Shane walked quickly through the house to the front door. He opened it just in time to see his father's car disappear down the wooded road. He stood there for a few minutes, wearing nothing but the wet shorts that he had very recently ejaculated into, and a look of pure panic. "Shane." He heard Elliot calling him, but he couldn't find his voice to respond. "Hollander." He felt a hand on his elbow. He was already gone. They both stood there in silence. Shane assumed that Elliot, too, was letting the enormity of this moment wash over him. "This is bad," Shane finally said. "You should go. Talk to him." "Yeah, shit. Yeah, I should. Probably best to do it now." He heard Elliot snort behind him. "It's not funny," Shane snapped at him. "A little funny." Shane turned around, ready to glare at him, but when he saw Elliot's face, he started laughing too. "Jesus Christ," he said. "So much for easing them into it." Elliot laughed harder. Maybe he did not notice. They both cracked up. It was pure nerves, but Shane laughed until his eyes watered. His plan had been to tell his parents, soon, that he was gay. He planned to give them time to digest that, and then he would tell them, eventually, that he was in a relationship, that he was in love. And then, once all of that had settled with them, he would drop the real bombshell. Now everything was happening in the exact opposite order. What the fuck am I gonna tell them? "So, you're probably wondering why I was making out with Ilya Rosanov. Do you want me to come with you?" Shane was surprised by this offer. Did he want that? Would he make things even more awkward? He certainly felt like he could use the support. "I don't know. Would you really do that?" Elliot took his hand and squeezed. "Yes, if it helps." Shane nodded. "It might. It will be awkward as hell, but I'd like you to be there, I think." "Okay, we should probably get dressed first." "Yes." They got dressed quickly. Shane put on a t-shirt from a charity hockey camp that he helped coach last summer, just to remind his parents that he was a good and normal person. Elliot was wearing a Boston Bears t-shirt. Shane made a face. "That's not going to help." "Oh, do they not know I play for Boston?" Shane rolled his eyes. "Come on, let's get this over with." The drive to Shane's parents' cottage took about 10 minutes, but it seemed way longer this time. "Okay," Shane said as he parked behind his father's car. "Just let me do the talking." "No problem. Maybe you should wait in the car." Elliot raised an eyebrow at him. "No," Shane said. "No, never mind. Come on." He exited the car and Elliot followed. Shane wondered if his parents were watching them through a window. He didn't bother to knock. He never did with them. He opened the door and said, as calmly as he could, "Hello, it's me. It's Shane." His parents stood from where they both had been sitting on the couch. It was clear that his dad had told his mom what he'd seen. "Shane," his mother said. She said it like she never heard the word before. "Mom, Dad, I think we should talk. We forgot to buy dishwasher tablets," Dad said. He sounded shell-shocked. I wanted to see if I could borrow some. I didn't know you had company." "Dad, it's okay. I'm sorry. You shouldn't have found out that way." "Found out what, exactly?" Mom asked. Her eyes were locked on Ilya, just over Shane's shoulder. "Well, I'm gay, which I was going to tell you soon. Sorry, I wish I told you." His parents didn't say anything. They were both looking at Elliot like he was a mountain lion that was about to attack. And this is Ilya Rosanov. You probably a small smile, and that one tiny gesture made Shane want to weep with relief. What we did not suspect, Ted added, was that you were friendly with Mr. Rosenoff here. Ilya? Is it Ilya? Ilya, then. It's a long story, and it doesn't even make sense to us, Shane said. None, Ilya agreed. When did this happen? Mom asked. Wait, was that the All-Star game? You were on the same team? No, Shane said. It was already going on then. His father blew out a breath. You sure fooled us and everyone else. So when? Mom asked. She seemed desperate to figure out the timeline of this thing. Shane could see her mentally replaying the past several seasons in her head. Since, our rookie year, Shane mumbled. He didn't think his parents could possibly look more shocked than they already had, but they definitely looked more shocked at this news. You can't have been since your rookie season, his mother gasped. No, Ilya said. That's not right. It was before that. Not helping, Ilya. Before that? Mom asked. A little before. Ilya clarified. Summer before. You've been in love this whole time? No, Shane said. God, no. Ilya said at the same time. But then Mom started. Oh, she said, and blushed. I see. Anyway, Shane said. He was blushing even more than his mom. The point is, we're together, sort of, or we'd like to be, if it wasn't basically impossible. For the first time, the looks of shock left his parents' faces and shifted to something like sympathy. I just don't understand, his mother said. How could this have even happened between you? Weren't there any nice men in Montreal, Shane? Probably, Shane muttered. Do your teammates know about this? Shane, Dad asked. No one does. No one. This is top secret, alright. His father stood up. Would anyone like a beer? I could use a beer. Yes, said Ilya. Definitely, said Shane. Is that the strongest thing we have? Asked his mom. Shane took the break in conversation as an opportunity to look at Ilya. He seemed to sense Shane's eyes on him and immediately turned to give him a question. Elliot's eyes were softer than he'd ever seen them. Yes, Elliot said. Me too. Shane cleared his throat. We have one idea. He told his parents about the Ottawa-Montreal plan he'd outlined for Elliot the night before. That, Dad said, considering, isn't bad. You would leave Boston? Mom asked, stunned. For Shane? Elliot didn't hesitate. Yes. She frowned as if she couldn't believe anything he was saying was real. Oh my God, Shane exclaimed. You're actually conflicted, aren't you, Mom? What are you talking about? You're bothered by his lack of loyalty to his team. Well, Mom said, as if that was a perfectly reasonable way to react to the fact that Ellie was so madly in love with her son that he was willing to throw his whole life into upheaval. Shane turned to Elia. My mom, by the way, cares about hockey a little too much. Elia snorted. Now I know where you get it. Shane was about to flip him off, but remembered his parents. And then it all kind of hit him. His parents were here, with Elia. The secret was out, and they were all talking about Shane and Elia as a couple. And Shane suddenly felt a little lightheaded. It was all happening so fast. Their confessions of love, being discovered by his parents, making plans for the future. Oh God, oh God, oh God. Shane. It was Elia's voice, all concerned. Shane felt a hand on his shoulder, and then he realized that he had his head between his knees. Are you okay? Shane inhaled and exhaled slowly, keeping his head down. Elia's hand moved to Shane's knee as he crouched beside him, seeking his eyes. Shane. I'm okay, Shane said weakly. I'm just freaking out. Don't worry about me. Elliot took his hands and rubbed his thumbs soothingly over the backs of them. We are good there, yes, he said. Your family is here, and your boyfriend, and we are okay here. Shane raised his head slightly. Boyfriend. Such a ridiculous word. Such a ridiculous, wonderful word. Elliot shrugged and grinned. I think, yes. Yes. It was really too bad they were in his parents' living room, and that his parents were definitely staring at them because Shane wanted to jump into Elliot's lap and kiss him into the floor. Since their rookie season, Shane heard his mother say, I can't believe it. Looking at them now, I kind of can. His father said. Chapter 27. They left Shane's parents' cottage with a promise to come for dinner the following evening. Elliot wasn't sure how Shane felt about everything that had just happened, but he thought it had gone surprisingly well. Holy shit, Shane said. He hadn't even turned the engine on. He was just sitting in the driver's seat with his forehead on the steering wheel. It was okay, yes, Elliot offered. I don't know. Do you think it was? That was really weird. Well, now they know. Shane blew out a breath. Yeah, we should go home. Shane nodded against the steering wheel before sitting up and pressing the ignition button. Elliot spent the entirety of the short drive back to Shane's cottage, wondering if it was weird that he'd just call Shane's cottage home. He knew his grip on the English language was tenuous, but referring to a place he was staying for 2 weeks as home wasn't weird, was it? If it was weird, Shane wasn't saying anything about it. Shane actually didn't say anything at all during the drive back, other than a few muttered curse words. His hands were tight on the wheel. When they got back to the cottage, he dropped his keys into a bowl and then strode into the living room with a hand in his hair. I need some air, he said, and he walked outside to the patio, leaving Elliot alone in the house. Fortunately, Elliot had packed just the thing for the situation. He went to the freezer and pulled out the bottle of vodka he had stashed there the day he'd arrived. It was the good shit, distilled in small batches and impossible to buy outside of Russia. He grabbed 2 glasses and carried them in the bottle outside. It may be a good time for this, he said, holding up the bottle. Shane turned wearily and snorted when he saw the vodka. The last time I drank that stuff was in Las Vegas, you remember? Yes, Elliot said, carefully pouring a couple of inches into each glass. But you did not even drink this stuff. This vodka is special. He handed Shane one of the glasses. Elliot closed his eyes as he took his first sip, enjoying the contrast of the frigid temperature of the liquid and the fire of the alcohol as it slid down his throat. Perfect. He opened his eyes when he heard Shane sputtering and coughing. Oh wow, Shane said. That is strong. I might need some cranberry juice or something. If you mix that with cranberry juice, I will drown you in the lake. But Shane, seemingly unable to concentrate at all, was already taking a second sip. This has been the weirdest day of my life. Elliot wanted to tell Shane that it had been one of the best days of his life. It had been awkward, sure, but Elliot felt that if he hadn't quite been already, So instead, he plucked the vodka glass from Shane's hand and sat it on the table next to his own. Maybe alcohol wasn't the thing Shane needed right now. He wrapped Shane in his arms and held him. He nestled into Shane's hair and breathed him in. I love you, he murmured, because he could say that. After so fucking long, he could finally say that. Shane tilted his head up and studied Ilya's face with questioning eyes. I love you too, he said. Are you alright? Ilya nodded and leaned in to kiss him. It was exactly how Ilya had secretly always wanted to kiss Shane, a shameless display of adoration and care, their tongues slowly caressing as Ilya held Shane's face in his hands and brushed his hair with his fingertips. His heart flipped and tumbled helplessly around his chest. There would be no going back from this, from any of this. I keep thinking about logistics, Shane said when they broke apart, as if Ilya hadn't just poured his heart into that kiss. Like, the earliest you would be in Ottawa would be the season after next, when your contract is done with Boston, right? Ilya did not want to talk about any of this right now. Yes, probably. He nibbled behind Shane's ear, hoping to distract him. So, just over a year from now, you're in Ottawa, and then we wait, what, another whole season until we announce the charity? It would have to be that long, right? Ilya said. He really didn't care. So, that's a year and a half or so until we can announce the charity, which is the same as announcing our friendship, Shane said as Ilya slid his hands into the back of his shorts and pulled him closer. And then what? Shane continued. How many more years do you think you'll be playing? Collindor. Ilya groaned. I don't fucking know. I'm just trying to get an idea of how long we'll be. What are you doing? Ilya had dropped to his knees, and he felt it was pretty obvious what he was doing. I am celebrating, Ilya said. He took Shane's shorts down until they hit the wood of the deck. You're joining me now. My head is racing. How can you even be thinking about sex right now? Because it is a beautiful thing, and we are alone, and we're mature parents, and I want you to calm the fuck down, and I love you. Oh. Ilya leaned in. That's more like it. He wanted to fuck Shane right here on the deck, but that would require stopping so he could go inside and grab lube and a condom. Stopping was unappealing. For now, he put all of his efforts into taking Shane apart. You're way too good at that, Shane sighed. Ilya hummed his agreement. The thought hit him that this was going to be his sex life now. No more meaningless but undeniably hot one-night stands. No more booty calls when he was on the road. He was going to give it all up for the chance to hold the heart of the beautiful man who was exhaling Ilya's name like it was the most important word in the world. Ilya had no problem giving it all up. He would give up so much more if he needed to. Ilya, God, Ilya, so good, don't stop, I love you. In response, Ilya reached for his hand and tangled their fingers together. I love you so much. Don't leave me. Oh yes, yes, I'm gonna. Oh. Fuck, get up here, Shane panted. Ilya rose to his feet, pulling Shane's shorts up with him, and Shane held him in for a very sloppy kiss. When they broke apart, Shane gazed up at him with sex-drunk eyes. Wow, he said, we're really gonna do this, aren't we? The statement was vague, but Ilya understood. Yes, if you want to try this, I will do what I need to do. I will do anything. I want this. I want us. Ilya brushed Shane's hair out of his eyes. Then I am moving to Ottawa, I think. And we're starting a charity, and we will become friends. And we'll see each other all the time, as much as possible, and spend the summers together. Here. Yes. They kissed again. Ilya couldn't believe they had solved this impossible problem. Maybe it wouldn't go as smoothly as they imagined, but it was a plan. And when I retire, Ilya said, after I won 12 Stanley Cups and 13 MVP awards. The hell you will. And you have been retired for like 8 years already because you're a very bad doggy. Shane laughed. Okay. Then I will bring you to the dock out there. I will have hundreds of candles all over it. That sounds like a fire hazard. It's on the water, Olander. Relax. It will be beautiful. You will love it. The candles, the lake, the full moon. Oh, is it a clear night? Yes, of course. And I will get on one knee, Ilya, and I will say, Shane Hollander, will you please marry me so I can become Canadian citizen pastor? Shane burst out laughing and shoved him. You're such an asshole. And you will say yes because you are a nice, helpful guy. No, Shane said, taking his hands. I will say yes because I will still be madly in love with you, and I'll want to spend the rest of my life with you. And, oh God, Ilya didn't deserve him, but he didn't care. He was selfish like that. I mean it, Shane said softly. I want to have a life with you. I know it will be awkward, and will still involve a lot of sneaking around for a while, but I'm playing the long game here. So yeah, whatever it takes. I'm in. Ilya lifted their joined hands to his lips and kissed Shane's knuckles. This is mean I get to see your apartment in Montreal. You real one. You can even keep your toothbrush there. I'm gonna sell that other place I was paying top of his head. Let's go to bed. It's 4 in the afternoon. Yes, but when I am done with you, it will be bedtime. Promises. Elliot took his hand and pulled him toward the house. He picked up Shane's vodka glass with the other. No sense wasting it. And tomorrow, I'm going to keep you in bed all day. All day, huh? Yes. Bring the bottle in, yes. And then maybe the day after that also. For 2 weeks. Elliot shrugged. I could maybe extend my stay. Shane plunked the vodka bottle on the kitchen counter. You can. A little. Yes. If you'll have me. I do have some other hot versions coming to stay with me in a couple of weeks. Elliot gasped. Shane Holdendor, you have not ever told me that I am hot before. Shane frowned. I haven't. No, I would remember. Well, I mean, obviously you're hot. Like, I can't believe I get to kiss you hot. Come upstairs. You can kiss me and tell me about Ottawa. And maybe get me off because I'm dying. Shane raced past him to the stairs. Only if you beat me. Ilya laughed. Keep on Holdendor. Epilogue. 16 months later, Montreal. He tripped me. Hey, what the fuck, ref? That was tripping. Shane glared up at the ref, and then at Ilya, who was looming over him in his Ottawa jersey. You fell. Ilya said. I didn't fall. It was tripping. Yes, it was you tripping over your own skates. You f***ed off. Ilya's lips quirked up, was planning on it. And now Shane had to bite back a grin. He rose to his knees, then stood, dumb mad as hell. Ilya had totally tripped him. The crowd was booing, cursing Ilya's name, and Shane got up in his face. Stop being an asshole. Stop falling down. Shane jabbed him in the chest with a gloved finger. He heard the crowd roar its approval. You can't beat me without cheating. Ilya raised an eyebrow. You don't think. Someone grabbed Shane's arm and pulled him away. Alright, keep it in your pants, you two. Jesus. I hate it. Ilya said, grinning. I still don't like you, frozen off. Hayden said, oh no. Ilya mocked him. How can I impress Montreal's 15th best player? Shane, I'm gonna punch him. Don't. I'm gonna punch him. No, you're not. The ref barked. Get back to your benches, all 3 of you. It's a commercial break. Go cool off. Ilya winked at Shane and then skated to his bench. Shane could feel his cheeks burning. I still can't believe he's here, you know. Hayden grumbled as they headed for their own bench. Quiet. I know. It just fucks me up thinking about it. Then don't. I mean, I could have found you a nice dude if you had just shut it. They had reached the bench, and although Shane had come out to his teammates at the start of the season, he hadn't told any of them about Ilya. Hayden had done the math and figured it out about a month after Shane had told him he was gay. Hey, could I ask you something? He had said as they'd walked to their cars after arriving home from a road trip. You know how you used to go meet up with your mystery man every time we played in Boston, but now you don't? We broke up, Shane had said quickly, unconvincingly. But you've been driving to Ottawa a lot this season. Yeah, my parents live there. I've been visiting. Your parents have always lived there, and they drive to Montreal even more than you drive to Ottawa, so I have another theory. I think your mystery man is Ilya Rosanoff. Shane had been flooded with a mixture of fear and shame, but also relief. He didn't say anything until they'd reached Hayden's car, and then he'd blown out a breath and nodded. Hayden had blanched. Holy f***, I was sort of joking. Are you for real? Doing stuff with Rosanoff? Yes. Wait, seriously? Did he sign with Ottawa to be closer to you? What the f*** is happening? There's one reason, yes. Hayden had turned and placed both hands on the roof of his car, leaning forward like he was trying to breathe through a cramp. Shane, this is not good, buddy. It's not ideal, no, but I love him. Hayden had looked at him after he'd said that, like Shane had sprouted wings and a tail, and Shane had been sure he'd just lost his best friend. But instead of yelling at him or getting in his car and speeding away, Hayden had just nodded and said, I think I need to meet him properly then. They had met properly a couple of times since then, but neither time had gone particularly well. Hayden couldn't think of Ilya as anything but the enemy, and Ilya had responded with a relentless snark, so they weren't exactly friends. You sure you want to do that press conference tomorrow? Hayden asked. I mean, no one knows that you guys are friends right now. You could keep it that way. I'm sure. Shane was definitely sure. He and Ilya had been planning for tomorrow for over a year. He had sold the hookup building, and Ilya had sold most of his car collection. With the combined earnings, they'd start the Irina Foundation. Tomorrow, at a hotel conference room downtown, they would be announcing, and more importantly, explaining the foundation they had created together. It's a good cause, I suppose, Hayden said. I apologize in advance if Rosanoff has a black eye for the press conference. Please don't punch him. I'll make a deal. If he stops being a f***ing dick, I won't punch him. Shane grimaced. Ilya was definitely going to have a black eye tomorrow. Ilya found Shane in the bathroom down the hall from the conference room. He was gripping the counter and staring down into one of the sinks. Relax, Hollander, Ilya said. He was probably as nervous as Shane was. Really, but Shane was much worse at hiding it. Ilya put his hands on Shane's shoulders and rubbed gently, careful not to wrinkle his light gray suit jacket. I'm against his chest. Shane met his eyes in the mirror. Your cheek looks better than I thought it would. It's still sore. Serves you right. You're an asshole to Hayden. Hayden is an asshole to me. Shane sighed. I have terrible taste in men, for friends and boyfriends. He closed his eyes and tilted his head back against Elia's shoulder. We'll be fine, Elia said. He kissed Shane's temple and muzzled his hair. Don't mess my hair up, Shane murmured, but he was smiling. Jesus. Elia turned his head to see Hayden standing just inside the door with his hand over his eyes. I'm still not used to that. You guys know this is like a public bathroom, right? Elia dropped his arms and Shane stepped away. Hayden was right. Shane and Elia weren't even out publicly as gay and bisexual, let alone as a couple. They'd agreed that they wanted their private lives to be their own, and they would only tell the people they wanted to include in that life. So far, it was a very small circle. A small circle that, much to Elia's chagrin, included Hayden. Anyway, Hayden said, looking at the wall and not at them. Shane, your mom asked me to look for you. They fixed the audio problem, so you can start anytime. Okay, thanks. We'll be right out. Hayden nodded. I'll stand outside the door, but you have like 2-minute stops, alright? Don't, start anything. Elia knew Shane was rolling his eyes. We won't, she said. When the door was closed, Elia laughed. He thinks you can come in 2 minutes. Oh, shut up. Elia grabbed his hand and pulled him close. I want to tell you, before we do this, that I am very happy today. My mother would really like this, and I think she's with me today. I'm proud. Oh, oops. Now Shane's eyes were glistening. She has so many reasons to be proud of you, Elia. Elia smiled at him. I need to kiss you here, or else I will do that there. Okay. He held Shane's face in his hands and gazed at him for a few seconds before leaning in and kissing the hell out of him. I love you, Elia said. I love you too. Elia nodded. Remember that when I'm being a dick to you out there. Shane grinned and kissed him again. Don't worry, I'm used to it. The room was packed with people who were dying to see what announcement Shane Hollander and Elia Rosenoff would be making together. Shane wasn't sure what rumors had been stirred up by this press conference, but it was time to end the suspense. They had agreed that Shane would do most of the talking. Elia was by no means shy, but Shane knew he was uneasy making long speeches in English. Besides, Shane wanted to make sure everything was said in both English and French, since both Montreal and Ottawa were bilingual cities. Elia and I have been competing against each other for over 8 seasons. A lot has been said and written about our rivalry, about what makes us different as players and as people, but I don't say enough how much I respect Elia, not only as one of the best players in the NHL, but as a person. He is a great leader, a fierce competitor, and an amazing goal scorer. But over the years, I have also gotten to know him off the ice, and I consider him a friend. That statement alone created a swell of murmurs throughout the room. Shane read through the words again, in French this time, and then continued. When Elia signed with Ottawa, we began talking about creating a charity together. Today, that dream is a reality. The Irena Foundation will raise money and awareness for organizations that provide support, counseling, and assistance just get it over with and out there, and anyone who had a problem with it could f*** off. Baby steps, Ilya reminded himself. The All-Star game was coming up, though, and he and Shane would be on the same team again. Ilya was only about 60% sure he wouldn't get Shane against the boards if he scored a goal off of a pass from him. Ilya smiled at his reflection in the mirror and smoothed his tie. He would have to warn Shane about the possibility of being kissed at the All-Star game, just to stress him out. He pulled out his phone to check the time, and a message popped up. Don't leave without saying goodbye. Ilya wrote back right away. Never. He had a surprise for Shane, actually. He had booked a room in this hotel. They had less than 2 hours before Ilya needed to hit the road, but after years of practice, they were good at making the most of an hour or two of privacy. 1126, he texted, and waited for Shane's reply. Shane, seriously? Best news ever. See you soon. Ilya chuckled, set an alarm on his phone, and went to meet his boyfriend. Thank you guys so much for watching and for being on this ride with me. It has been so fun. That was Heated Rivalry by Reid. I'm very excited for season 2. I love this story so much. Let me know if there's like other ASMR you want to hear from me, because these videos take so long to produce. I haven't really been doing any other ASMR. I just took the reading thing and ran with it. I think once this will be uploaded, I will be starting Pro Model / the long game. Yeah, I think we've kind of decided. Long game. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know your favorite scene in the book, and let me know your favorite scene in the show. My favorite scene in the book is when Ilya is comforting Shane after his parents find out, and Shane's like freaking out, and Ilya's like, "We're here. Your boyfriend's here. We're good." And it's like, I see myself a lot in Shane, and just like having that sort of like grounding comfort when you're in that kind of state is just so, it's really kind and grounding. And yeah, that scene just makes me weep. I weep. My favorite scene in the show, I think, is when Yuna is telling Shane that she's sorry that he felt like he had to hide. He doesn't have to apologize for who he is. That scene makes me cry every time. Jacob knew what he was doing when he put that scene in, and I just want to thank him so much, because I like really genuinely like healed something inside of me. It probably did for others. If it did for me, it probably did for others. So I have to say that that scene is my favorite in the show. But then visually also the club scene where Ilya just walks in as somebody in media. Oh my god, it's just so beautiful. But Jacob knew what he was doing when he put that scene in with Yuna and Shane. He knew. That is it for Heated Rivalry. I'm happy to discuss this